January 30th. 422 B.C., a census of the inhabitants of Athens was taken, and reported the number of males to be 20,000. 405 B.C., Sophocles died at Athens. 1560, a phenomenon observed at London, called the burning spears, being one of the earliest records of that appearance, now well known by the name of aurora borealis. 1601, Scipio Ammirati, an Italian historian, died. He wrote a history of Florence, published in 2 volumes, folio. 1606, Everard Digby hanged, drawn and quartered at the West End of St. Paul's Church, London. He was concerned in the gunpowder plot, having offered £1,500 towards defraying the expenses of that dreadful affair. He also entertained Fawkes, who was to have executed it in his house, and was taken in open rebellion with other papists after the plot was detected and had miscarried. 1644, William Chillingworth died, celebrated for his skill as a religious controversialist, and a defender of Protestantism against popery. 1647, King Charles I delivered up to Parliament by the Scots for £200,000. Some think it unworthy of the nation. 1649, Charles I beheaded. He was born in Scotland 1600, and succeeded to the British throne 1625. His reign was signalized by a struggle with his parliament in procuring supplies, which finally ended in his execution. He was tried for treason against the people, and condemned with only 3 days' grace. 1660, William Mordred, an English divine and mathematician, died, it is said, in consequence of excess of joy at the restoration of Charles II, whom he called Christ anointed. 1661, the heads of Oliver Cromwell, John Bradshaw, and Henry Ireton set on poles at Westminster Hall, and their bodies buried under the gallows at Tyburn, where their disinterred bodies had been hung. 1678, the expense of the equestrian statue of Charles I at Charing Cross, London, was defrayed with part of £70,000, voted for his funeral celebration. 1691, Pope Alexander III died, after a reign of only 15 months. 1735, George Granville, Viscount Lansdowne, an eminent English poet, died, having vainly endeavored to get employment in arms for the defense of James II, to whose cause he was warmly attached. He retired to private life, enjoying the company of his muse, which he employed in celebrating the reigning beauties of the age, in imitation of Waller. 1757, Calcutta retaken by Clive. 1766, James Bartholomew Beccaria, an Italian physician and professor of natural philosophy, died. His writings are highly esteemed. 1766, Susanna Maria Cibber died. She was not only considered the best actress in England, but supposed by many to excel the celebrated Madame Clairon, of Paris, her contemporary. 1805, John Robinson, a celebrated Edinburgh mathematician, died. 1809, assault upon Saragossa in Spain by the French under Junot, Lannes and Mortier. The Spaniards made a most desperate resistance, a corps of women even being formed for its defense. The houses were taken one by one. They were compelled to undermine upwards of 600 in order to get possession of them. 1810, several meteoric stones fell in Caswell County, North Carolina. 1826. The mails were first carried over the Menai Suspension Bridge, which connects the island of Anglesey with the Welsh shore. 1833. Joseph Blue A. Denbridge died at Smithtown, Long Island, aged 101, retaining the vigor of perfect health to the last week of his life. 1834. Attempt to assassinate the President of the United States, Andrew Jackson, made by Richard Lawrence. 1834. Rudolf Ackermann, who so much improved lithography, and the first to use gaslight in England, died. 1837. Explosion of the magazine of the French garrison at Bona in Algiers, containing 12,000 pounds of powder and 1,000,000 musket cartridges. 108 men were killed, and 102 wounded. 1837. The town of Jaffa in Palestine destroyed by an earthquake. Of 15,000 inhabitants, only 2,000 escaped burial in the ruins. 1837. Adam Meslius, the last remaining pupil of Linnaeus, died, celebrated for his travels in Asia and Africa. 1841. The town of Mayaguez, Puerto Rico, consisting of about 600 buildings, was consumed by fire, loss estimated at from $2 to $4 million. 1852. The King of Naples by decree confiscated the property of Neapolitan emigrants. 1855. Herman Knickerbocker died, aged 75, known as the Prince of Shagptacoke, being the third in descent from the original settler there.